Hey everyone, I'm so happy to be with you on episode number 2. Welcome to You and Your Life Are Unlimited. In the last episode, we discussed the law of attraction, and I gave all of you an action item. Well, a couple of them. So the first one was go to watchyourwords.com. If you want to learn more, go deeper quickly, it's a great program and it's complimentary and it'll help you really understand law of attraction by what you say, starting with what you say. The other action item I gave was to start writing down all the things that you desire, all the things that you want to do and be and have and experience. Maybe something you want to know. Maybe you want to know how to play the piano, or you've always wanted to know how to design jewelry, or you've always wanted to know how to start a business or be a coach, or there's something you want to understand better, something you want to master, you want to become an expert in. Write down your desires, because by writing them down, you're aligning with the very first step in the book, which is The Desire Factor, or my latest book with the Council. That's really about how to embrace your materialistic nature to reclaim your full spiritual power. Well, why would we want to do that, right? Because we cannot have the physical, anything in the physical, without our energetic or spiritual non-physical world, or like I said, the energy world. And that life that is breathing you, that is beating your heart, that gives you the inspiration for your own unique desires, is already in the process of fulfilling those desires as you receive it and accept it. But we have to allow ourselves, law of allowing is next week, we have to allow ourselves to go with the flow of that desire and to not push against it. Or that when we feel there is a block or a resistance point or a stop point, or what I like to call split energy, you want something, but you feel you can't have it, right? There's the Buddhists had said that, and I know there's much more depth to this, but basically that to have desire is the root of all suffering. And really, it's to have a desire that you hold yourself apart from that desire, a belief that says you can't have it, that is suffering, right? So we want to get clear. Step one is get clear on what we want. So we are asking, we can ask. How do we ask? Well, by our free-willed focus. And that's what we're talking about today, is the law of the second of the 7 essential universal laws. The second law is the law of deliberate creation. So understand that with the desire factor and any desires that we have, and why it's important to allow yourself and write them down and become in agreement with, give yourself permission. Our inner guide, so there's lots of words for it. What's breathing us, our co-created life partner, divine partner, our inner guide, non-physical, our inner being, God, life source, universe, energy. That force, that creator, is all knowing of what is in each of our hearts to bring forth, to manifest, and to interact with, and to enjoy, and to experience. Because each of us have free will. We have to ask for the knowledge, the awareness to be revealed to us, and then the manifestation takes place. But that's always a choice. We're the ones that choose. And sometimes we make choices without making choices. We feel we don't have any choices. We create because that's what my parents did, or we do the same thing because that's what's expected of me, or we do the same thing because that's what we believe of ourselves. And so to get to a new level of aliveness and growth, whether it's creating a business or becoming a coach and helping others, doing something that feels good, maybe it's some kind of light service work, maybe it's massage therapy or some kind of healer work, or maybe you're in corporate America. These laws work whether you're in corporate America or you own your own business, or you are a stay-at-home mom, or you are a caretaker, or you're in the sandwich generation. This works for every woman and man, even though this is a women's network, every single woman, no matter where you live, because it's a universal law. And it's a vibrational universe. So each one of us has our own energy field. And we are energy receivers, we are energy containers, and we're energy transmitters. So we're transmitting out energy. And one of those ways that we start evoking partnership and collaboration and vibrational union with the universe is by asking. So some people, and I've been working with people since 2000, and the first thing people get caught up in is they know what they don't want, and then they keep pivoting back on what they don't want. Talked about that in the first episode. When you are so focused on what you don't want, to start asking for what you do want, that is a bit of training. I'm going to give you some tips on how to do that, because when you are aware that you are not vibrating, or another way of saying it, when you are not feeling good, we're going to get into the fourth law in the fourth episode, law of sufficiency and abundance. When you are in lack, you feel bad. When you are in abundance, you feel good. And there's that area in between that you don't feel bad, but you don't feel crazy over the top. But when you are in a place of saying, okay, I'm not feeling good, this perspective doesn't feel good, I'm focused on what I don't want, I'm really worried, and no matter what I do, I can't seem to get out of worry. When you ask for what you do want, that's sending out new signals and new vibrations, because then you're becoming deliberate in what you send out. And asking is the key that opens that door to what's possible beyond what we've ever known or experienced before. That asking is a vibrational frequency. Asking for something we want has a higher frequency than asking or defending against something we don't want. And I'll give you an example, because people think, well, I want more money. Okay, let's break that down. What's more money? Is $1 more money? Are you going to be satisfied with $1? Like, for you, when you say I want more money, what does that mean? What is that number? And more importantly, what is the more money gonna give you? What is that moreness, having more, gonna give you? Because a lot of times when I ask someone this, or coaches I've trained through the Quantum Success Coaching Academy, when coaches or myself ask clients, why do you want more money? Why do you want that extra $50,000 a month or a year or whatever? It's all totally relative, but subjective, right? So why do you want that? Because I don't want to worry. Because I don't want to have to think about, there's still a program to go back. I desire more of this, so I don't have to have that. Instead of focusing on the don't have to have, focus on, I want more money so I feel free. So I feel secure. So I feel like I've got more options and choices. Because I want to experience a different level of experiences that different levels of money brings. Right? Now you're focused on what you want because you want it, and because that idea of it feels really good. And therefore that vibration starts to move out because we are energy receivers, containers, and transmitters. So as we are transmitting out and our focus becomes on what we want, the more we start to vibrate and the more we are open to ideas that actually challenge our belief systems or even seem really far out there or impossible. But also it opens our minds to what options we have way beyond this third dimensional reality. There is an abundance of all things that is literally attracted to each person that tries to seek it. For example, if you look for abundance, you will find it. So these are some tips and tools for manifestation to dial into the law of deliberate creation. I'm going to give these first, then we're going to talk a little bit more about the law of deliberate creation. So these are tips and tools for manifesting your desires and moving into the understanding from law of attraction into then how you can apply the law of deliberate creation. First thing is that you do not want to have a desire or do something that causes distress or harm to any living thing. I mean, that's just the first thing. The universe and all of the third dimensional reality will not support much of that, but the entire universe to help partner with will never support, and it's karma. You know, if you're trying to do something to hurt or harm or distress another person, then that will come back to you because what you're sending out is a very low vibration. That type of revenge or that type of I'm doing it to prove them is never fulfilling because the entire universe doesn't support that lack. So we want to make sure that what we write down, that we're writing down truly our heart, our soul desires. And the second thing is we want to make sure that our desires are truly ours at the core of our being and not somebody's opinion or because somebody else has one or because another person who you love, their opinion and their plan for you is this and it has been all your life, or because the media says it, or because mass consciousness has thought it before, or you're getting pure family pressure, or you know there's stories and narratives that we buy into. All of that will not align with our heart's desires. I remember when I had my book, The Art of Having It All, that came out, and I had a girl interview me, and she was saying that, well, how can you have it all? And I said, well, you first have to ask yourself, I mean, very similar to what I'm saying here and in the first episode, is you have to go, okay, what do I want? You know, what would I love in all aspects of my life, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, financial, spiritual, emotional, social, right? What would I want in all aspects of my life? Because my having it all is mine to decide. And she started thinking about it. And she said, you know, what's really interesting is I just got married. She was a young girl in her late 20s. And she said, in the minute we got married, came back from the honeymoon, both his mom and my mom started pressuring us to have a baby. And both of us are not ready to have a baby yet. And she said, I think I don't know the answer to this. She goes, but there's a possibility in me that I don't want to have a baby. And she goes, I don't know, but I've never even entertained the possibility that that wouldn't be my reality. She goes, I might think that, yeah, you know, that might be. She goes, but definitely right now, not right now. That's too much pressure. I don't know. And then she started opening up to seeing herself living her life with her husband, you know, in a situation where they maybe have one or none. But she was feeling open to different possibilities. And you want to make sure that they're your desires. If you really want to, for example, have a baby, don't have one because your mother wants you to have one. Have one because you're ready and you really want one, right? It's like getting a puppy, right? Don't do things from a place of trying to fill a void. Don't do it out of cruelty or greed or envy or desire to control or harm somebody else or even animals, right? Regardless of who tells you to be or do or have what they suggest, it's up to you. It's up to you to decide, what do I want? And it's up to you to start giving yourself permission, because if you don't give it to yourself, nobody else will, right? So another thing, while you are learning about this information, while you are becoming more of a deliberate creator, and I'm going to start getting into that in a moment, be silent, keep silent about what you're doing or what you intend to do, and especially be discerning to who you say it to. If I was going to tell someone my wildest dreams, right? As a matter of fact, years ago, I had a desire to write a book. And when I told some certain people in my life that I wanted to write a book, they completely cut me down. And when I actually did write my first book, they made fun of it and they cut it down, right? So I am very discerning with some of those people. Some of them are still in my life, some of them are not, but I am discerning about telling them what I'm up to or what fun I had at a certain thing, because there's a level of envy that comes, right? Don't ask advice or tell your desires to a person that you know is jealous or envious. Envious people that are stuck in envy or competition or comparison or jealousy, especially women. So Taming Your Alpha Bitch is another book that I co-wrote with an author named Rebecca Grotto. And one of the things we talk about in there, one of the ways to tame our alpha bitch is competition. Because when we are envious or jealous ourselves, we're not in alignment with abundance. I had to really shift that within myself, because I was constantly, it's how I grew up, I was constantly compared to my sister. And so my mom was always constantly comparing us. And so therefore I was, how am I doing? Is my, my ring bigger or smaller? Is my butt bigger or smaller? Is my downward dog better than hers? It was always a competition, and it was constant suffering. But when people are envious, they don't like to hear about the happiness or good fortune of others, and will many times try to pull the energy down and try to depower the happy and enthused person. I've learned that many times. Some people can't match that level of enthusiasm, which I have found, right? And what also happens, right? And I'm sure all of you have experienced this, but you're super excited about something. I just had an experience with my husband. I went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony, and we just had the time of our life, the most amazing show, and came home and I was telling one of my neighbors who's like a total rock and roll guy. And he was just like, well, good for you. I mean, there was absolutely no enthusiasm, right? And what happens is we pick up on the jealousy. We pick up on their sadness, their jealousy, their envy, their anger, because we want everybody to feel good. We give up what we want so they feel better or they like us. Let me say that again, so that we don't lose their friendship, or we don't seem as outcast, or everybody likes us. If we're super enthused, excited about something, and nobody else around in our peer group or our influence can see that vision, and they talk you out of it, well-intentioned, oh, but you're too young. Oh, but you're too old. Oh, that's going to be risky. Why would you do that? If I would have listened to my mother years ago, I would not be doing this. I started my own coaching business long before there was even an understanding in mass society what coaching was. And the fact that I coach on universal laws, such as law of attraction, most people, this is pre-secret, before the secret came out, most people didn't even know what that was. And then I had an internet business. So I wasn't going to brick and mortar place. This is all very cutting edge, law of attraction coaching on the internet. And my mom, I'm quitting a sales management position at a biotech company in Pennsylvania, where I go to an office every single day, and there's a corporate office. I'm quitting that to go play on the internet and coach people in law of attraction. Couldn't understand that. And every time I would call her, she would call me, how's your business? Like I could feel the fear. And so a lot of times we just go, okay, I can't deal with that. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I need to go get another job, especially when there are moments when I had questions or I had doubts in building my business. The last person I was going to call her was her, because she would then talk me out. I go get a job. So I would talk to my coach, or I would talk to other people that were doing what I did in the industry. I went into masterminds. I started hanging out and communicating with a group of people that also had high minds, that had bigger ideas, that could hold and celebrate, go, wow, that's a great idea. Have you thought of it this way? That could literally help expand my awareness, right? Because when we're picking up energy from other people and then we stop, we like to extinguish our own joy for something. It doesn't serve anybody. We don't need to take on consciousness or problems of others to help them out. As a matter of fact, we can't. Let's talk about that. What is our consciousness? Our consciousness is what we say, our very words, our language. That's why you can go to watchyourwords.com, because it has a 30-day program of what are the words and phrases that we say a lot in our vocabulary, but they pull our energy down, they disempower us, they don't feel good in saying. And there's a simple switch of language. For example, years ago, my husband would say to me, hey, what's the budget? And for me, that felt like really limiting. But of course, we had to think about what we were going to bring on a trip, for example. I'd be all excited about this fabulous cruise, and he'd be like, okay, what's the budget? And I'm like, the budget? I don't want to be at dinner budgeting. That's not freedom. That's not fun. So we made it a different word, because budget had a negative connotation to me. I watched my mom and dad budget, and that didn't look like fun. But going on a cruise where we have an allocation, oh, that felt better. So words and phrases that we say, and there's 30 of them that just pull our energy down into lack. And once that spark starts, once we're saying that, and then we're thinking it, and then we're believing it, and we're feeling it, because this is all what consciousness is, and then we take action from it, then it becomes our reality. So our consciousness is what we say, what we think, what we feel. This is why emotions are really important. What we believe, there's that mental belief work, and then what we do. A lot of times people are trying to change their behaviors, but before they change the energy inside of their consciousness. So we cannot take on consciousness or the problems of other people. As a matter of fact, have you ever tried to think for somebody? You can't. Doesn't work. Have you ever had people try to think for you or speak for you? I really don't like when people try to speak for me. I'll tell you that right now. But I never have. It's like, I got my own mouth. I'll speak for myself, right? We all have our own consciousness, and nobody can interfere in mine unless I agree to it and let them. They might say a word or a phrase and I might accept it, go, oh no, that's happened many times in my life. More on those stories later, and how I shifted him, right? We have to be able to handle our own energy field, to deliberately take care of our own consciousness, to then deliberately create what we want, right? So make a sacred vow with yourself that everything you're writing down in this notebook, everything you're writing down as far as all your desires, sit with those desires, sit with them where you can be silent and listen within and feel your connection with your power source, your inner guide, that supreme best friend, the protector, the maintainer, the source of all. The more you harmonize your thoughts, your words, your feelings, the activities with your alignment with that energy of joy, expansion, with the feeling of purpose, the more you experience the real magic, the real good fortune, the presence of the divine in each and every moment. So affirm. Affirmations are a great place to start. That's where I did years ago. Affirm. It's not only okay, I give myself permission to ask for what I want. It's okay and safe for me to ask for what I want to do, be, and have. So let's talk about really quick the law of deliberate creation, because this whole time we have been. So I want to give just a more detailed, concrete definition of what is the law of deliberate creation, why it's so important, and how we work with this law for our benefit, and how it really does benefit all the other laws. Well, by writing down what you desire, which is the first step, you're working with the law of deliberate creation, because you're deliberately focused your free will attention on something you wanted, and now you probably feel pretty good about it. If you've written down something, think about what it would feel like to have that manifest. If you don't feel good about it, well, that's what next week's show is all about, it, because that's all about the law of allowing. And what we do when we are excited about something, we look at something and then we feel what the council and myself call split energy. I want it, but, right? So that's for next week. Right now, focus on what it is that you want. I've always explained the law of deliberate creation, where we are the ones that have that control over what we think, what we feel, and what we attract in our lives. So what happens with law of attraction, and when we create something, is that we focus on something, good or bad. The focus comes before the opinion. Where we focus our attention then creates a meaning and opinion, but we're the ones that focus, right? So what happens with law of attraction is we focus on something, whether it's what we want or what we don't want. So let's say something we don't want, right? Say you are in debt. So you're focused on, oh my God, the pain, the just heaviness of being in debt, the pressure, right? When you focus on that, you're giving off a vibration, that lower, terrifying vibration. That vibration is then responded to by the law of attraction. And law of attraction, that energy, that same exact frequency, because nobody or nothing is doing something to change that tune. We're creating now momentum, and we're giving off the vibration, because the reason you got in debt in the first place is because you were in a vibration of debt. Maybe it wasn't even your fault. Maybe it's something that, and I had a client like this, her parents, no matter how much money they made, and they did very well for themselves, and they had 2 jobs, they both did well, they were always in debt. And so this client found herself later in life in debt until she changed her wealth consciousness, because law of attraction said, oh, she's sending me lack. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give her more lack and feed that cycle. When you are a deliberate creator, you are the one that decides. You ask, what do I want? Why do I want it? And how do I want to feel?